wonderful. I love it. Well, we'll end with that because that is an excellent statement. The power of
Okay,
community. I love
good.
it. I love it. Well, let's go on to the next one. Unless we're gonna dive deep into some real meat and potatoes here.
hmm
How's that for, meat and potatoes? That's my new term for today. So how do you overcome people pleasing? This is a challenge. I mean, and to some extent we all do this, but how do you overcome that?
That is a loaded question, Tony, but I'm
It
glad
is.
you asked because I am so passionate about this one. So, hi, recovering people pleaser here.
I
Um,
like it. I like it.
I think people, especially in service and support roles, are kind of innately wired to be people pleasers, right? We have a
Right.
servant mindset,
That's
but
right.
it is very easy to confuse servant leadership with people pleasing. They're actually two very different things. But I think even from a very young age, we are kind of ingrained to not rock the boat, not to
Mhm.
create conflict. We are taught, especially women, I find, are taught as girls that it's like something to aspire to be a really selfless person and always give more to others than to yourself.
Right.
And this has been a big struggle for me for a long time. I really kind of realized that it wasn't sustainable anymore when I had our first child and I came back to work from maternity leave and was humbled enough to finally realize that I could not do it all.
Right.
I think also a lot of people pleasers are high achievers
Mm.
and you just want to do, and you want to help, and you
Mm.
want to do it all with excellence. And that in reality is a fast track to burnout. And the more you're trying to make everyone happy, things kind of start to naturally fall apart over time and unravel a bit. So, how can we stop people pleasing? It's not a quick and easy process, to be quite honest. I had to do a lot of work and self-reflection to figure out, first of all, why am I people pleasing?
Mhm.
Why am I so worried about what other people think?
Right.
I did
Right.
a lot of reading, a lot of journaling, and ultimately I worked with a coach and she taught me to just get really clear on what my values are and to
Right.
stop worrying about what is society telling me that my values should be, but to get really honest on what are the five things that are most important to me.
Right.
So you figure that out.
Yeah.
And you may have to do this exercise like 5 or 10 times before you actually get to the point where you're really honestly answering that question and not what you think other people would want to hear you say.
That's right. That's
And then little by little, you just start making decisions that are in alignment with those values. So, for example, one of my values is rest. And it was really hard for me to admit this as a high achiever, someone with a really strong work ethic, but I need rest to do my best work and to show up creatively. And
yeah.
so I had to set the boundary that I wasn't going to check and respond to work emails on the weekends anymore because those were my 2 days to reset. And when I do that and I hold true to that value and to that boundary, I get so much done during the week and I show up just so like level-headed and clear and I really am able to do better work for the people around me. So that's just one example.
That's great.
I Some people might think it's hokey, but I really believe in the power of affirmations. You have to retrain your brain to
Absolutely.
know that you are worthy and to feel confident that the work that you are doing is enough and stop worrying about all the external noise. A
Right.
lot of times, again, people pleasers live for the applause, not to steal a line from Lady Gaga, but like we do. I know I've struggled with
Yes.
that in the past. Um, and I also am a big believer in Mel Robbins' theory of let them.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have
Tell us about this. Tell us about it.
So the idea is that people are going to form opinions about you that you have no control over, and they form those opinions based on their own history, their own background, what's going on in their life. It has nothing to do with you. And
Right.
when you get to a place where you can just let them have those opinions and you're not worried about wasting time and energy changing their opinions, then you really reach a place of true freedom and confidence when you give up that need to control how others view you and you're living in alignment with your values and showing up as your best, most authentic self,
Yep.
get to a place where you just don't care about the noise or the haters anymore.
Right.
And For me, it's been interesting. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to work in the same company or in a similar role two times in their career.
Right, right,
So I left Informa, HDN and ICMI's parent company in 2019. I just came back last year. And probably the biggest sign of growth for me is watching how I handle situations so much differently than I did even 6 years ago, and to see
right.
that journey of confidence.
Yeah,
And to anyone out there who struggles with people pleasing, I just want to say I was people pleasing to the max like 6 years ago when I was in this role. I really don't do as much people pleasing anymore, and I would say that I'm actually more effective in my role now and enjoying it 100 times more. Like I genuinely am excited to get up and work every day.
yeah. That's great. And I think two things that really resonate with me. One is, yeah, you have to learn when to turn off. Like I do a couple of speaking events a year, and as soon as I get done in those speaking events, I like go to my hotel room, and for an
Yep.
hour I just do nothing. It's
Good
totally
for you.
silent. And on the weekends, yep, I always turn off now. And at night when I'm cooking dinner for the kids, once it gets to be 5:30, sometimes 6, but I'm off, right? Until the next day. And I think that gives you something. I also love what you shared regarding thinking about what others think about you. And now that I'm older, I can clearly agree with you 100% because when I was younger, I was people pleasing to always do, I was there early and I was, would stay late. And, there's just things that I would do just because somebody appreciated that, although I
Yep.
didn't need to do that.
Hmm.
And by the way, I ended up not doing anything super special. But now that I've got older, this is the real answer to why I do the podcast.
Hmm.
Because I had talked about doing podcasts for 10 years when I worked at a TV station. And that's when I started my podcast 10, 12 years ago. But then I kind of said, well, nobody's going to want to listen to me. And, all the demons, I wasn't
Yep.
even listening to other people. I was listening to myself with demons that were
Yep.
fictitious. And so somebody at the end of 2023 came to me and said, you just need to do it. Create your own studio in your house. You know what you're doing and just do it. And so now I have too many podcasts to publish. But the point is, yeah, it's a great situation to be in. But the point is, right, exactly what you said. Turn off the noise. Focus on what is important to you. And this is what I thought about, 2 years ago when I really kicked this off is what do you have to lose? You have
Yeah.
nothing to lose. You have more to
Yeah.
gain, right? People, what happens if people listen to this and then they say, "Okay, that's I've had to go through this." Then we've actually helped maybe one person. I think that's all I would expect, and that makes me happy.
I love the way you reframe that because that has been a valuable tool for me as well, is when you find that negative self-talk creeping in.
Hmm.
What if X, Y, and Z goes wrong? We all want to focus on what might go wrong, but then you
Hmm.
flip it into the reverse. Well,
Hmm.
what if I help someone by doing this?
Exactly. And it could just be one person. We always have this one on this shoulder and we have this one on this shoulder, right? This is the good one,
Hmm.
and this is the one
Hmm.
that's saying, "No, I'm a hater." And,
Yeah,
I think you should go. I think you shouldn't." And the reality is, unfortunately, the human nature is we listen to the one that says, "Whoa, don't do this. That's too much risk."
we do.
And I really think that that's where people need to evaluate how much risk
Well,
really is it.
and the other thing that I'm glad you mentioned is that you went for it ultimately, and that is how you get out of people pleasing, little by little. Every time you show up and say yes when you wanted to say no,
That's right. That's
you're
right.
rewiring your brain, and
Right.
your confidence builds each time you do something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of times when you're doing that, you're also, once you finally get out there, you're like building your brand.
Yeah.
And I think
Yep.
that becomes important. I think a lot of people now with HDI kind of know my brand, right? That I
Yep.
like to help people and I like to find topics that are important. And so this rolls right into our next question.
Hmm.
You think I planned this, didn't you? You think I planned
You're
this?
too
Okay.
good, Tony.
Okay. I don't know if it's me. It may be just you bringing up what we knew, but here we go. So let's talk about question number three because it rolls right into that.